Hi, my name is Jacob Lopez, and I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis 17 years ago when I was 11 years old in 2008. And today I am nearly in drug-free remission, and I'm able to do this because I learned about my personal root causal factors through the Functional Diagnostic Nutrition Foundational Lab work. So if you want to learn more about that, check out the link below in the description. But just to give you an idea of where I am today on my own healing journey, it's about 4:30 p.m., maybe 5 p.m., and I've had 2 bowel movements with 0 visible blood, no pain, both during the bowel movement and just in general. So I feel good energy-wise. I went to the gym today, lifted weights. Tonight I'm gonna go to the beach and take in the sunset and do a swim. Anyway, this video I'm using as a platform to discuss a very popular topic in kind of the IBD realm. And this is fiber good or bad for IBD? And I'm sure, maybe you have, like I have, heard kind of both perspectives. For example, many people in the more animal-based world, maybe carnivore world, they talk about fiber as being non-necessary and how we've all been duped by the scientific world to think fiber is beneficial. And then on the other hand, people are very pro-fiber and talk about the short-chain fatty acids that we metabolize from fiber through our microbiome and how this is some really great fuel for our colonocytes. And so, many of us are kind of grappling with this perspective, and it's causing a lot of both these perspectives, and it's causing a lot of confusion. So my goal here is to kind of set the record straight, hopefully, so that we can all just move forward and eat in a way that's benefiting us, based on where we are in our healing journey. So the answer to the question, is fiber beneficial or not for Crohn's and colitis, is it depends. There's not a straightforward answer to this, but what there is a straightforward answer to, in my opinion, and I'd say it's almost not an opinion because yes, the scientific research does show this time and time again, is that fiber is good for us and is necessary for human health. And so to talk about whether it's beneficial for IBD or not, the answer I gave was it depends. So the reason it depends is because there is a point in our healing journey where fiber is not good, and that tends to be earlier. And the reason that is when we have, physical damage to the colon, that fiber can tear us up. But also if our microbiome is compromised and we no longer have the correct balance of microbes to properly metabolize the fiber, then the fiber also messes us up. And there's even some research showing that in that case of being in more of an inflamed state, in that case, fiber could actually be metabolized into more inflammatory metabolites. So, this kind of brings me to wanting to discuss how we shouldn't have fixed ideas about food being good and bad, right? So especially with, when dealing with something like IBD, we have to be very fluid in our food philosophy. I got that term from one of my mentors, Dane Johnson. If you want to check out his work, look him up because he spits a lot of truth for sure. And part of the reason why I'm here where I am today is because of, his knowledge and content, and I'm very grateful for him. But he talks about food philosophy, and kind of what I picked up from, his conversations and podcasts and things about this is we have to eat food and prepare food in a way that makes sense to us now, right? So we can't have this fixed idea, oh, carnivore is what's going to heal me. Oh, the vegan diet's what's going to heal me. Eating all fruits. We have to understand where we are on our healing journey and adapt, right? So for example, to kind of go back to the fiber conversation, let's just say you are in a bad place, in a tough place with your IBD, whether it's Crohn's or colitis, right? So you're in a hard place, maybe you're using the bathroom, 10 to 20 times per day. I've been there, it really sucks, hang in there. And you're in a place where maybe drinking psyllium husk is not gonna be optimal for you, right? So when I was in that place, I actually went on an elemental diet for a little while and saw a lot of benefit from it. And there's no fiber in an elemental diet. So the idea is to promote bowel rest. And when you promote bowel rest, I think I did 2 or 3 full weeks on an elemental diet. I'll make a video about that eventually. This is when you can start lowering the inflammation to set your body up to be able to withstand more fiber, okay? So, the people who've done really well on carnivore and kind of talk smack on fiber, it's because their body wasn't able to handle fiber. It's not because fiber in and of itself is bad, and it's not because we don't need it. It's because they were inflamed. And I personally think that, using carnivore diet long-term, which can be very powerful and very necessary at times for, many. I think using it long-term and not kind of exploring outside of it and trying different fibers, you're kind of using a diet almost as a medication. And, many people do that with the SCD diet by Elaine Gottschall. And these diets, keep people in remission. But then it creates this fear around food and trying other foods and going outside of the bounds of what we know. So, that being said, being earlier on in your healing journey, something like an elemental diet, no fiber, still getting a lot of nutrients. You can look into Ginny Patel's line of elemental diets, Absorb Plus, which I've benefited from, vastly have benefited from. And then, I'm just speaking as an example. You don't have to do the elemental diet. There are other ways to calm things down. But as an example, when I started healing on an elemental diet, I started adding a little bit of fibers into my elemental shakes, whether that be like banana, and then maybe a little bit of frozen blueberries, maybe a little bit of psyllium husk, just a little bit, or a little bit of acacia fiber, which is, kind of more of a mild fiber. And that's an example of how you kind of do physical therapy on your gut, just diving right into the heavier fibers, can mess up your gut if it's weakened. But if your gut is stronger, then those fibers are gonna help build on your progress, okay? So on the other side of things, and this is kind of where I am now, I'm able to tolerate, a lot of psyllium husk and a lot of beneficial fibers, even oatmeal and eating oats and some leafy greens, mainly when they're blended though for now. So when I have a lot of fiber, I notice my bowel movements, the quality of my bowel movements are much better. I'm having these full bowel movements where I'm able to fully, excavate my colon, and it's not, 4 different bowel movements, 4 different trips to the toilet to, get everything out. It's just push and it's coming out, and it feels good, less pain. And, but yeah, I know there was a time when I wasn't able to tolerate fiber, and the fibers I have now would have messed me up. So, fiber is good for humans, but if you're having a severe IBD flare and you're in a tough spot, you have to incrementally add in fiber and understand the goal is to be able to tolerate more fiber, not have this mindset of like, oh, fiber is bad for IBD because I'm having fiber now and it's hurting me. It's not always going to hurt you, right? When you're in this place where you've given yourself bowel rest. So when you need bowel rest, the idea is to be able to give yourself that bowel rest while still getting a lot of nutrients. And that's where something like an elemental diet can be really beneficial. That's why a lot of people benefit from the carnivore diet early on in their healing journey, because there's not a lot of fiber, but a lot of healthy fats and nutrients in meat and protein. But not everyone does well even then on the carnivore diet, because a lot of people with severe IBD, and this was me, don't digest fats well, because this chronic inflammation and chronic dysbiosis, it makes the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas really sluggish. So our digestive enzymes go down, our bile flow goes down, and due to leaky gut, we start to develop liver congestion, because with a leaky gut, with this increased intestinal permeability, now toxins, whether that be toxins from like LPS from the dysbiosis, or toxins from things we're eating, or environmental toxins. Now this could breach our mucosal barrier and has to be sent up to our liver through the hepatic portal vein for reprocessing. So now we're getting this source of, internal toxicity that our liver's having to handle. And this makes digestion very sluggish for a lot of people with IBD. So not everyone does well on carnivore, but if you want to give it a true shot, it could benefit to take ox bile and some digestive enzymes, maybe a bit of HCl to kind of perk up your digestion and start tolerating these fats more. So with that being said, the answer to the question, is fiber good or bad for IBD? The answer is it depends. If you're in a really severe place with your IBD, you have to incrementally start to add in more beneficial fibers and, go slow, go low and slow, and this is how you rehab your gut, because fiber is important for the bowel. So, that's it for this video. I hope that helped. Please like and subscribe for more of this content. I'm gonna be uploading more about IBD and my journey. I might do some like day in the life stuff of kind of what my day is looking like, maybe what my eating is looking like. Share this with anyone who might benefit. And again, check the description below for a link if you're interested in learning more about, the lab work that kind of got me on my way to discovering what my root cause factors were. Also going to make more videos about that. I'll link to my Instagram as well. And be well, hang in there. You've got this. And I'll see you in future videos.